A budget is a statement of one's priorities, and Friday we're finally seeing what the governor will focus on in his final term. But what stood out just as much was who wasn't there. The governor did not attend the presentation, and his office has not responded to our questions on why. Friday morning, the first major step in establishing California's next budget.
The budget doesn't include new significant general fund initiatives, expenditures. It really is a workload budget and taking a very conservative approach.
In simple terms, no new spending and no cuts. The total budget comes in at $348.9 billion. The big number everyone will notice. The governor is expecting a $2.9 billion deficit. That's far below the $18 billion shortfall predicted by the nonpartisan Legislative Analyst's Office.
Difference is $14.7 billion. The biggest difference there is revenues, which is $31.5 billion.
The legislative analysts didn't have the benefit of a few months of revenue numbers that the governor had the benefit. And the legislative analysts built in an economic downturn, which the governor didn't.
Democratic Senator John Laird, chair of the Senate Budget Committee, says the governor's budget typically doesn't account for what could happen, but instead notes the risks.
But that is exactly why we will have a 5-month budget process and why we will have the benefit of the additional revenue information and what comes in income taxes on April 15th.
So where is the money going? About 30% for healthcare and 26% for K-12 education. The Department of Finance says the surplus in general revenue funds creates an opportunity to invest more in education. That's thanks to voter-passed Proposition 98, which guarantees minimum annual funding for education and says any additional state revenue must be invested into it. On the healthcare and food assistant front, the state is covering administrative costs from the new eligibility rules under the so-called Big Beautiful Bill, but critics note there's no contingency plan for caseloads or benefits that could be impacted.
And the state could be trying to backfill some of that, and the governor's proposal doesn't include any response to the federal cuts in that regard.
Meantime, Vice Chair of the Budget Committee, Senator Roger Nilo, warns California has a spending problem.
But the governor's proposal, I believe, is dangerously more optimistic than the LAO's, and by a significant amount. There's still a deficit in any case that needs to be closed. He's just not closing enough of it.
Top Democrats also responding now, saying affordability, equity, and accountability are top of mind and that the budget calls for caution. There will be budget revisions in May with the final budget due June 15th. In Sacramento, Jenny He, ABC 10.